It's Monday, November 8th, 2032, and the Sacramento Athletics are 87-75, or were, I should say. We made the playoffs, just barely. Well, I guess not barely. We were the first wild card in a very middling American League, a very middling Major League Baseball situation. Only two teams in all of MLB over 90 wins. The Astros and the Dodgers, and those two teams met in the World Series, and it went to 7 games. The Dodgers win 4-3 over the Houston Astros, who stormed back and won the division after a 20-8 August and a 17-11 September that just boosted them over the top. They have Vladdy Jr. hitting cleanup. Denzel Clark didn't have a great season for him, but he's still kicking around. Strider, Kirby, Cavalli, Huascar Yanoa, a fun team that the Astros have. The Dodgers, on the other hand, very dissimilar to the Dodgers we know. They do have Andy Paez, who was their best hitter this season, but really only Yamamoto, Gratterall. Those are the only guys we know from the team today. You can see the A's were swept by the Astros. We almost got no hit in the first game. It was a 2-hitter. I don't even want to go into it. We lost in 3 straight games, laid down in all of them. But against the Angels, we put up a good effort. If I go to our schedule, you can see 0-5, 2-4, 2-4 to the Astros. But we'd actually taken the last 2 out of 3 against the Angels in the regular season. We win 10-2 in the first game. Joe Little pitches only 3 innings. But Daxton Levin comes in, gets the win after Dan Sant hit 2 crucial hits to push the game in our direction. He actually won the Wild Card Series MVP. A 1-4 loss where Nick Lodolo got tagged for 3 runs, and the Angels pitching, Davison Hodnall, was stellar. And then we win 5-1 with Connor Cook on the bump doing well. Dan Sant with 2 more bases. So, how did we get to the playoffs, man? We were middling. We actually had a very tough July, 8-15, but 15-12 in August, 17-10 in September, and that August record is a little misleading because we started off extremely slow, and then this middle of the month was very good for us. But it was right after, we lose the first game after the deadline, get swept by the Tigers, take 2 out of 3 from the O's, but then 2 out of 3 losses against the Phillies, another loss to Cleveland, but then we step up, win 5 straight. We actually win 10 of 11 and move into September and keep it churning. But we had some injuries along the way. Chris Mullen is still out with a partially torn UCL. He got hurt on August 2nd. And Orion Kerkering, who is our big trade deadline acquisition, was hurt on the final day of the regular season, would have missed all of the playoffs had we made it far, which is unfortunate. Trey Combs was hurt for a stretch of time. Nick Lodolo, Miguel Belize was hurt for a little bit. It was an injury-plagued back half of the season. Pat Brasseur was one of the guys he's not one of the guys we waived, but he was hurt as well. And these are the 4 guys we waived. Cullen, who was out for the whole year. Crowell, who was fine for us in the back half of the season. Josh Hansen didn't pitch a game. And Brady Ebel had a cup of coffee, but all these guys, I need space on the AAA roster. To get into the pitching staff, the headline is, look at these guys in our WAR. We had 6.8, 5.5, 5.1, 4.6. Now, a lot of this for Connor Cook came with the Yankees, but he still pitched tremendously well for us. 3.58 ERA in 65 1/3, and the FIP was relatively similar to what he did with the Yankees. Joe Little pitched like an ace. No all-star nod for him, but he led the American League in wins. A 3.01 ERA. He should challenge for Cy Young votes. Nick Lodolo was fantastic. A 2.68 ERA, only 10 wins. He only pitched 24 games. But his ERA almost 1.5 better than his FIP. And for some reason, he just loves Sacramento. The 2 best seasons of his career by far are here in Sacramento in 2 seasons. Almost double the time in Philly and still a win better in Sacramento. So happy to have him back for the season, but he's a free agent. He's made himself a payday. He wants a pretty decent contract at age 34 that I won't be giving him because we have no money. Our payroll's actually been dinged $2 million instead of the 146 that the game thought we would end up with. Attendance was through the roof towards the back half of the season. Fan interest steadily rose to 55. It started the season at 42 after our dismal 64-win campaign last season. Yeah, but we flipped the script, go 87 and 75, and the pitching was a large part of that. Jamie Maynard, another one of those guys, 3.72 ERA and 140 in the third innings pitched, a large bulk of that in the last half of the year as a starter once we had some guys go down. Frank Alcacer, pitched against the Angels in the playoffs. A Rule 5 draft pick of the Angels was great this year, a 3.13 ERA. Kirkring was fantastic down the stretch, 1.59, lights out up until he got hurt, which is so unfortunate. Broom didn't do much for the Mets in AAA. None of the trades we really lost. I looked in on the guys, and they were fine. Shane Baptiste had a good year, 30 and 2/3 innings pitched, 2.05 ERA. Daxton Levin, 35 innings pitched, a little bit more time than I thought he would spend with the Major League club, but we just had those rash of injuries. Trey Combs, before he got hurt, was a good pitcher, 40 games, a 3.00 FIP. Cam Caminiti actually very much improved towards the end of the year, a 3.72 ERA. Chase Hampton, I don't really need to bring him back, a FIP and an ERA over 5. We just don't have the money. Pat Brasseur, now entering arbitration, is fragile and has not come back to form after these two injuries, the elbow ligament and the labrum. Juan Alarid was a guy we picked up, I hadn't talked about it, a guy we picked up from the Cleveland Guardians for Jet Williams, who was in our AAA. He did not have a good year for Cleveland in the back half. And Alarid was actually middling in AAA, but I called him up because we needed a lefty. Brandon Pfaadt will not be back. He was poor this season. Was in the closer role for a large portion of it. He was just angry that he wasn't a starter. Wickham and Gonzalez, I love him as a player, all these good pitches, but the control is so poor. The FIP results have not been good the last 2 years, and we're probably going to move on from him. He's a free agent anyways. Kevin Bacalar, the ratings are coming along. He's 25 though, but one more shot for him on the 40-man roster, I'd say. And then Chaebong Kim could be a contributor at 22. Jeff Moody, I called him up for a short bit, but he didn't pitch. Josh Range was out the whole season, and that's it out of the guys that pitched for us this year. On the lineup side, Connor Griffin got hurt in the series against the Angels, or in the series against the Astros. Only had one at bat and got hurt, but he was fantastic against the Angels. 134 OPS plus, 4.6 FWAR in only 119 games. But getting hurt's been an issue for him. He's a Gold Glove caliber right fielder. He just can't seem to stay on the field, and it's unfortunate. But we'll see what he can do next season. Miguel Belize is on the trade block because he's wrecked and he got hurt at the end of the year. Also, September 18th, missed the whole playoffs. So we were down 2 outfielders in that series against the Astros, and that's why I just figured I'd simulate it. And we got walloped. So Belize, Clark, a better season than Denzel Clark would have had. He missed 50 games and still had a 3.38 FWAR, 102 OPS plus, Gold Glove caliber center fielder. Very good season for Max Clark. Andy Cervantes was not good for us in the 43 games he played as a super utility infielder. It's good defensively at second, passable at short for both us and the Diamondbacks, but we didn't really put him anywhere else. Maybe we bring him back, but he wants $2 million that I'm just not sure we have. He's from Maine. That's fun. Ismael Ayala turned it on in the second half of the year. A gaudy month of September really was all of that. 7 home runs in the month. Just one of the best months you'll ever see from a player. And that was kind of his season, was September. He's really just not good in the field. I guess second base, that's better than I thought it would end up being. We'll see about him. He's a good player. Tim McFarland had some ups and downs this season, but ended up as a fine player. This positively awful month of August was canceled out by a spectacular month of September, and he just ended up being the guy that we thought he would be at the deadline. He'll be back as the starting catcher next season. Jeremy Rodriguez, maybe a sophomore slump. I don't think so. He just had a good year, and it'll be a struggle to replicate that kind of play. But as a league average, he's kind of the Manuel Pena. League average hitter, really good defender. Can't complain. Now, Baladejo came back, hit a little bit better, so he was more valuable, and the defense is there. We're a very sound defensive team. Bobby Hunter, he had such a promising start to the year and fizzled in September. Was having a tough month of July as well, and I just don't see bringing him back. He's been on the downswing the past 2 years, and he's not really playing third base anymore, so wants a lot of money, and we might move on from him. And there's a number of guys who I think can replace him. Zach LaValle, a win above replacement in 80 games. Fine with that from a rookie. Sean Galloway came back up towards the end of the year, played in 73 games for us, 102 OPS plus. He's going to be a big piece moving forward. And I'm happy that he did not bottom out when he came back up. Actually, it was the opposite. It was very good in September. Dan Sant, on the other hand, had a roller coaster of a year. Very poor August, poor September after starting off on fire, enough to be an all-star. April, May, and June, and just couldn't do it towards the end of the year. But finishing as a league average hitter, but a below-average defender. We're going to bring him back next season because he's a 30-homer guy on the minimum. But, he might have to move to first base, depending on what we do with Hunter. Daverson Gutierrez, backup catcher, whatever. I might trade him because I got some guys, if he's just going to play in 53 games. Tim McFarland's a great catcher. I don't need Gutierrez, and I got guys that I can replace him with, like I said. Grady Emerson came back up and had a good month of, good 3 games in October. Was more closer to a league average hitter in September, but broke even on the WAR total. That's fine, 64 games. He's going to be a big piece next season as well. Jesus Macayo didn't play at all, and he's a 10 overall points worse than Gutierrez, but I don't really care. I'd have him be the backup catcher. It's not like Gutierrez is a captain or anything. Tsuyoshi Sakamoto, 18 games. He was fine. Jeff Wagner, he's a trade chip. We're going to go all in this season with some of these guys. Sinclair, Johnson didn't do anything. I don't really need him. I don't need him. And I don't need... Sinclair's a good player, but I'd trade him for the right player. Yeah, so that's the roster right now. And the guys that will be on the 40-man roster are Sergio Saldana, who will challenge for starting at first base. Andy Eggers is the guy that I was talking about who I'd be comfortable replacing one of the right-handed catchers with, because he had a good season enough in AAA, and I don't really care. If we can... Catchers are overvalued in this game, and if we can trade Gutierrez for a starter, a quality reliever, I'd be happy with that. Cole Mathis is a free agent. Chris Welch is going to be on the 40-man roster. He's Rule 5 eligible. And there's a few other guys. Nobody down in these levels, but if I go to the Rule 5 eligible players list, Eggers, Saldana, Welch, Chris Henderson had a good back half of the season, but he's not ready enough for me to put him on the 40-man roster. Pellegrin, Venable will probably make it on. So we got to clear some spots for these guys, because Venable, that's a great skill set, and he's a righty, and we've needed a righty in that spot. A number of guys that are pretty decent that are Rule 5 eligible. Salazzo is a decent bench piece, so we got guys we can move and replace them with. So we're going to look into that. And I'm trying to think of what else. This upset me, that the number 7 prospect in baseball, Andy Grant, was put on waivers at 22 by the San Diego Padres. He had a poor season, but he's got a sky-high ceiling. So I won't be picking him up. I have my own house rules. Omari Alcindor is an interesting player at 27. But let's see. So in ARB, Chris Mullen's going to get that. Brasseur, Crowell, and Hampton. I'm going to try and trade Hampton, but I might bring him back because that's a good reliever skill set for that much money, and he can start. It's kind of a lot, though. Almost $5 million for a guy that I'm not even sure about. I might bet on his prior track record in Pittsburgh, though, as a starter. McFarland's going to get the money. Hunter, I just can't pay him $6 million to be fine. So he's on the block. Cervantes is on the block. Belize is on the block. And Max Clark's frustrated, but he's going to get his money as well. Gonzalez and Fott, the free agents. Connor Cook, Kirkering, and Lodolo as well. None of these guys will be brought back. We just simply do not have the money. If we look at our salaries, if we clear that $6 million, I mean, we have to. We got to bump this down to like $8 million. And then I don't even know if I want to sign anybody in an international free agent. No, because I'm done with this sim. And then development budget, put it at 20. And then generate a good amount of money here. $25 million now. So we'll have a chunk of change once I move some money around to make some moves. But let's see if we can move off a few of these guys right now. So Belize, with a year of team control, he's wrecked. I just can't figure him into the future for next season. It's too risky. Chase Young was in Arizona and didn't hit well. Didn't hit fantastic. Tim Roberts. I want a guy who's really, going to be able to make an impact for us. And it would probably be a right-handed outfielder. Just a swap. Sincere Superville. Luis Lara is interesting. Christian Santana. Yeah, so we'll have to look at, I think, specific guys that become available. What about Bobby Hunter? So he's valued. That's good to know. Maybe not as much as Belize, but some catchers. Alfredo Soto as a reliever. That's a decent player. As a lefty, too. Mariners aren't offering anything else in addition to him. This is a decent guy. Play corner outfield well. Stovall. Dre Jameson, but he's 35. Under contract for a while longer. And then Gutierrez, what is he looking at? Okay, Joe Pugsley. So I'd say Gutierrez and Belize are probably the most valuable. But, I don't want to pick up a 50 overall guy. We got to get some difference makers for this season. How has Armando Cruz been doing since we traded him? He had a good year here in Pittsburgh. He's carved out a nice role for himself. That's good. Yeah. We'll have to wait. Does anyone want Wyatt Crowell? I'll look at some guys that I can just take off the block. Yeah, nobody wants him. Nobody really wants Hampton, but he can be a, trade fodder or an addition. What about Brasseur? All right. Well, let's sim a little bit forward to the awards, and then we can also find out. Okay, so these guys all got claimed. Whatever. It's fine. We can find out who else is on the trade block. So right now it's just our guys. Mauricio Huerta was, or no, who was it? It was Garces. Very talented third base prospect. Re-signed with us. I think we should have some Gold Glove winners. I don't want to trade for Yuri Perez. I already had him and he stunk this season for you guys. McFarland. So what's the fan interest at now? 60. Like, come on, owner. We got the fans in the palm of our hand these days. Miguel Vargas traded to the Orioles. I didn't need him. What a one-year wonder for him. That one good year, one spectacular year in Boston where he wins all the postseason accolades and kind of flames out. So who won anything? Anybody? No? Isaac Paredes just won a Gold Glove? Are you freaking kidding me? This guy for the Astros is something else. I mean, man. Devers with the Mariners. And then Dingler. Paredes was with the Yankees. Did they just... No, they just waived him. Whatever. What about reliever of the year? Ken Mast. And a Rockies reliever wins the award. What a season for him as a rookie. Silver Slugger. Dan Ramsey hits .350 at first. Kyle Teal .345 at catcher. We don't win one. Darnell Providence. Ayala got votes for Rookie of the Year. Jaquavius Harris. He's like nearly a white guy with mutton chops. Joe Little does win the Cy Young. How fun is that? Beating out the Angel Floyd Sarrazin, who had a better season, better ERA, better FIP, but he only started 24 games, so maybe that's the issue. Little starts the whole year, has more wins, more strikeouts. So Joe Little has won the Cy Young Award. How fun is that? Anybody else? Connor Cook gets votes, and that's it. No Lodolo is kind of surprising, but I guess he only pitched 24 games. So from a first-round pick in 2029, 24th overall, we have a Cy Young winner. No, he was picked in the first round in 28, and then we picked him 14th. That's right. Ezekiel Tovar with the Blue Jays wins MVP. Connor Griffin gets votes. Jesus Peralta. Yeah, this guy won the Triple Crown with the Reds. Kind of ridiculous. He's 25, 50 homers, 137 RBIs, and a .331 batting average. Over 200 hits in back-to-back seasons for this guy, Jesus Peralta. Back-to-back MVPs as well. And this MVP finally breaks up the Colt Keith dominance. He had won 5 straight MVP awards. Still a good season, but not, the kind of season that he has become accustomed to, I should say. Only 1,383 hits through age 30 with 5 MVPs. I don't know if anybody's going to hit 3,000 hits in this. But nobody I don't think anybody's listed on the trade block. Yeah, it's just our guys, so we might have to make some moves. All right, anyways, Joe Little wins the Cy Young. I'll be back around the Rule 5 draft or something to give a midseason. I don't know, maybe the next season. But know that we want... Let's diagnose here. So we have... These 2 starting pitchers are gone. And Alcacer I'm not comfortable with starting for an entire season. So we're going to bring in 3 starting pitchers. That's for sure. And then call it 1 or 2 top-end relievers. In the lineup, I think that the outfield... yeah, if it goes Galloway, Clark, Griffin, I'm good with that. But he's bad in left. He's very good in right. Whatever. That doesn't matter. It's left field. So Clark, Griffin, and Galloway. Backups don't matter. Probably move Dan Sant to first or Ayala. Bobby Hunter's gone. Second base will be covered by LaValle. Third base will be Emerson. Rodriguez able to fit in as well. Maybe we move off him because we have so many lefty infielders. One of these catchers will be moved, but other than that, we're set at catcher, set at first base with Sant or Ayala or whoever, set at second, set at third, set at short. So even though we weren't a very good offense, I don't think we need to make any improvements. But anyways, that's it.